Booster Course Wave 5 for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is here, and we're checking out all changes and differences made for the returning courses. The first race of the Feather Cup is Tour Athens Dash. As the capital of Greece and one of the oldest active settlements in the world, this site hosts the various ruins of the Athenian Acropolis, such as multiple open-air theaters, remnants of the Roman Agora of the Lost Empire, and the Grand Temple of Athena, known as the Parthenon. So how does the most recent update differ from its mobile appearance? Let's find out. Athens Dash debuted as part of the Spring Tour in 2023, delivering the first and second variants. For the Switch version, these paths are traversed in full as separate laps. What likely will be the third variant is sandwiched between them as a section, featuring platforms overseeing the theater, falling columns in the ruins, and a second theater. Even beyond these details, numerous differences set these two versions apart. And most of these happen to be gameplay changes. Lap 1 traces the route of the first variant, starting the race at the Parthenon, facing west. The ramp at the end of the slope just beyond this point, and others like it, became a reshaped wooden type. Rocks around the cliff in this spot were reformed to accommodate, with the safety cones disappearing altogether. Directly below the ramp, the three columns leaning against the slope for the R variant were removed, and falling here results in landing out of bounds. The broken pillar platforms just after the ramp were simplified to just 2 sets instead of 3, with the elements beneath them arranged to allow only for traffic to the right of the rubble for the most part. It's possible to cross the gap between the columns and the cliffside even now, but the position, narrowness, and grass make it difficult to reach and navigate. The ruins, possibly remnants of the Asclepion along the Stoa of Eumenes, or even part of the Peripatos, in this lower area also were affected, featuring pillars that fall in different spots compared to Tour. These columns are shorter than before, reduced in count from 3 to 2. The first falls just a few seconds into the race, usually collapsing by the time it is reached. Past the steps is the Theater of Dionysus, which no longer has dash panels or chevron barriers. Instead, caution barricades were placed at angles and some of the edges were modified to accommodate indirect traffic. Any driver who lands on a part of the track here that was not intended for that lap or section is relocated. Just around the bend, the cannon and arrow barriers were removed at the Arch of Hadrian, and the glide ramp was expanded and pushed forward for the flight across the gap. Bats in the Acropolis grotto beyond increased from 4 per line to 6. The route changes upon approaching the Parthenon again, detouring racers to the left towards a new starting line banner in the form of an arch, serving as the start of Lap 2, or Section 2, and what likely will be Athens Dash 3 in Tour. This guides everyone directly off the cliff and onto a descending series of wire mesh Kanami Road platforms with a ramp at the end of each, all leading back to the Theater of Dionysus, from the rear this time. Crossing it once more, racers are channeled through the lower ruins again, only in reverse. The second column falls at about 53 seconds, just in time to witness it. On the other side is the Odeon of Herodotus Atticus, where the path leads up the partially buried stairway. Another route shift happens here, switching to Athens Dash 2 at the junction, where drivers ascend the stairs of the Propylaea. This route continues through the Parthenon again, but in the opposite direction, for Lap 3. At the Roman Agora after the U-bend, fallen columns were cleared out, as well as the thwomp. Instead, item boxes circle the area. Dash panels on the incline back to the Acropolis are a bit thicker now as well. Meanwhile, boulders tumble just a bit differently. The route ends with a second ascension up the Propylaea staircase and back to the Parthenon to conclude the race. The Ekplixi. That mixes up things nicely. The aesthetic changes are far fewer, but they are still worth noting. General texture, lighting, coloration, and spectator differences apply as usual, and the minimap was rotated 90 degrees clockwise again. But unique to the course is that the mass of clouds in the skybox also was rotated clockwise a bit, while the sun shifted the other direction slightly. Like many tour courses, the flags and banners now wave realistically in the breeze, and little birds can be found in groups along the path. At the starting line, splashback was implemented for the statue fountains. Meanwhile, stone tiles in the Parthenon were remade, with some raised, and many now having cracks in them. Even some of the rubble was scattered in different spots across the surface too. A red arrow sign before the turn towards the slope was taken out, with a couple of others like this removed or added. See if you can figure out which were modified. Some of the partial tiles in the lower ruins are different, while safety cones at the Theater of Dionysus were cleared away. The wooden Goomba cutouts found on the stairs of the Propylaea at the end of the second lap were swapped out for wooden piranha plant cutouts, likely being a game standard. Near the start of the final lap, the cascading terraces in the modern area resembling Monastiraki, or possibly the Plaka stairs, have a different stone tile texture now. The potted flowers to the left here have a unique set of petals. Likewise, flowers and small plants along the winding dirt road back up to the Acropolis were given a different setup. Butterflies now occupy some of these flowers. At the same time, sunlight can be seen peeking through the hole in the nearby tunnel. Lastly, the sound of water can be heard pouring from the statue fountain urns into the basins, most audible at the race opening. And that's it for this list. Sindomo alagliko. The music for Athens Dash is very triumphant and empowering, seeming almost Olympian in nature. Starting with a glorious fanfare and leading into the main theme, it features brass, violin, woodwind, and the bouzouki, a classical Greek lute. The original version captures this feeling fairly well, even with its limited samples. Fadasticos. Meanwhile, the arrangement is cleaner, with punchier notes in the intro, as well as personalization in the violin and woodwind for the A section. In the B section, mild strummed chords on the left and subdued rapid arpeggios on the right were added to help give a fuller feeling, despite the otherwise calmer segment of the piece. And the bridge leading back to the beginning has stronger staccato strings and brass played in triplets, giving more of a Zelda-like march rhythm. It's so good that all we can say is Oppa! And that's about it for all changes we found in Tour Athens Dash. Unlike many other cities that focus on the modern urban locations, this one embraces a bygone era in an adventurous romp through the ruins of ancient architectural landmarks for a welcome change of pace. But what do you think? Have you found any notable changes that we missed? Let us know in the comments below. And of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Booster Course Wave 5 for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and other things Nintendo too. Thanks for watching. Until next time, Adeya.